Hello learners of mathematics, welcome to session 3 of unit 2, test validity and reliability in the course assessment in math education. I am Munkele Desmani and I am your course instructor for this course. So in this section 3 of unit 2, we are looking at the validity of a test. Validity of a test. In the previous lesson, we looked at the scope of mathematics test. So in this session, we are looking at the validity of the mathematics tests. So our session objective, you should be able to identify and explain the meaning of valid mathematics tests at the end of the section. You should be able to also explain the characteristics of a valid mathematics test. Meaning of validity of a test. A good classroom mathematics test should be reliable, valid, and objective. So if a test is not reliable, it's not valid, it's not objective, then it's not a good classroom mathematics test. So the validity of mathematics test simply shows how one knows that a mathematics test measures students' mathematics ability. Then we say that the test is valid. So validity of test is defined as the extent to which or how well a test actually measures what is supposed to measure. That's the quality of test to measure what is supposed to measure. Then we say that the test is valid. If you want to measure how students solve simultaneous equation and the test is measuring how to construct quadratic equation, then that test is not valid. You should measure what actually it intends to measure. So validity is the extent to which a test measures what is designed to test, the degree to which a test measures what is supposed to measure. Now thinking of the test results, so the results should measure what actually is intended to measure, as I've already explained. So a test is valid only if the results can be applied effectively to some specific purpose. So according to Lin and Miller, 2005, they define validity as the adequacy and appropriateness of the interpretation and uses of a test result for a given group of individuals. Hence, validity is a matter of degree. Also, Misak 1989 and Moss 1992 define a test as a test score inferences is considered sufficiently valid when various types of evidence justify its usage and eliminate other counter interpretations. Signs of validity of a test. How do you know that this test is valid? The sign that tells that the test is valid. The task must engage and motivate students to perform to the best of their ability. So that is the quality of the test. So the first one is quality of the task. The quality of the task. A valid text should reflect the actual knowledge or performance of the test taker, not testing taking score and memorize facts. So what we found of is memorization. You do what you go chew and pour, you chew, you go and pour, chew, you go and pour, and that if you chew and you go and pour, and that means that the test is not valid. So the tests or the task must engage and motivate students to perform to the best of their ability. It must be consistent with current educational theory practice. The contents must be authentic and be of good quality, so I don't go and do what you call chew and pour. So another sign of validity of a test is presence of extraneous interference. Now the extraneous interference occurs when there is something in the test that might get in the way of students being able to demonstrate what they know and can do. So a valid test does not require knowledge or scores that are irrelevant to what is actually being tested. So when there's an irrelevant idea there, then the presence of extraneous factors will not affect the test, will never affect the test. So example of extraneous factors may include ability to understand the context, physical limitations, and irrelevant background information. You should be able to understand the extraneous factors. I gave an example previously that if a student wants to find the perimeter of a triangle, you give the length, let's say 8 centimeters, 9 centimeters, and 15 centimeters. Then you state that one of the 8 angles is, let's say, 50 degrees. Find the perimeter. So the 50 degrees here is what we call the extraneous interference. It is there to interfere the student. It's not part of the perimeter. So once student is able to understand that and eliminate that from the important aspects, then we say that the test is valid. It's actually measuring what is intended to measure. Sign. Another sign is negative consequences. Negative consequences. So valid tests minimize unintended negative consequences. What does it mean? So here, negative effects of tests might include restricting curricula to what can be easily accessed and fostering narrow images of the nature of particular discipline. So simply limiting test items to factual lower level cognitive questions that can easily be constructed weakens the validity of the test. People, when they want to conduct tests, they restrict the syllabus or the syllabi because they want their student to perform well. So strict questions that are very key for the student. So when you do that, you are doing what you refer to as negative consequences, then the test is not valid. The test is not valid. So we should explain. So we look at the validity of a test and also look at the aspect of test that must be evaluated for validity. So when these three criteria met, the consequence, extraneous, interference, and tax, then we say that the test is valid.